Can I interest you in some brominated vegetable oil? Or maybe you'd like some propylparaben. Don't those sound delicious? But how about some potassium bromate? All of these ingredients were banned by the California state government in 2023, and some have been banned in other parts of the world for over 50 years. However, the FDA still has not taken any definitive action to ban these potentially dangerous additives nationwide. The biggest change that we would like to see in the next 20 years is a more health-oriented FDA.
The FDA is charged with the critical mission of protecting America's food supply. Yet, recent reports have highlighted a lack of leadership, poor communication, and slow governance at the agency that have had a detrimental impact on the safety of the food that every American relies upon.
We don't follow the European model, in which if there's evidence of danger, a lot of times they'll pull it out of the supply until it can be proved safe. We follow the opposite model. It has to be proved dangerous before we'll remove it. And we don't actually study all of these compounds. So we have and you can find this on the FDA site, generally recognized as safe.
The generally recognized as safe list is a list of ingredients and additives that the FDA has deemed safe for human consumption. But who gets to decide what's on this list? Well, the FDA does, of course. Or, at least, that's what you'd think.
So a company can determine on their own that their ingredients are safe, generally recognized as safe. And once they do that, whether they have an expert panel of consultants that confirm that and say that they're safe, they can immediately go to market.
And we all know that big corporations have our best interests in mind when it comes to deciding what's safe for us to eat. But on a serious note, if companies are the ones deciding what's generally recognized as safe, then how can we as consumers trust that the food we're eating is being regulated properly? The FDA has responded to some of these concerns, reassuring the public that the systems of today are more effective than the systems of the past.
Particularly when FDA was first formed, and we did find food manufacturers intentionally adding things that were actually fairly harmful to people. FDA now has a system in place where food additives cannot be added to food unless they are pre-approved, and not just pre-approved, but pre-approved for a specific food.
While it may be true that the FDA has made steps in the right direction, we believe that they have not done enough. When comparing America to the rest of the world, we have obesity rates twice as high than the OECD average. Government officials in California have realized this issue and are enforcing change statewide by passing Assembly Bill 418, the California Food Safety Act. This bill bans 5 common additives found in food that have been linked to cancer and hyperactivity in children. Here's Noah Marty, the senior legislative aide to Assemblymember Jesse Gabriel, who introduced the bill.
An important piece of AB 418 was, about sending a message to Washington, D.C., to the food industry, to the FDA that, more needs to be done here. We saw what was happening with, these various different food chemicals being banned in countries around the world, specifically the EU. So the fact that the EU had banned these chemicals, I think, was definitely raising alarm bells since they're commonly available in foods here in the US. There are thousands of different chemicals that are approved for use in foods in the US, and only a very small percentage of them were actually ever approved by the FDA.
It is past time to modernize our food safety laws and regulations. 70 years past time. We need to give FDA the resources and the authority that it needs to cope with the growing and varied risks that threatens today's more abundant and diverse food supply. We need to act, and we need to act now.
But in the meantime, what can we do to maintain our health and avoid these harmful additives? To answer this, we interviewed the supervising nutritionist at Contra Costa Medical Center, Rafael Zaliza. Here's what he had to say.
Eating healthy is number one. Drinking less sugar, having less junk food helps your system. Most people just buy organic foods because there's no estimates on it.
We as Americans have settled for subpar food regulation for too long. We are decades behind the rest of the world when it comes to the safety of the food that we eat. The biggest change that we would like to see in the next 20 years is a more health-oriented FDA. In order to achieve this, we would like to see the FDA start by banning harmful ingredients and additives linked to serious health problems, such as the ones banned in California Assembly Bill 418. Next, the FDA needs to rework and review the generally recognized as safe list, requiring independent testing to be done to all items on the list. We would like to see America become the leader when it comes to innovation in food safety instead of dragging its feet like it has for the past few decades. But in the meantime, you can reach out to your local representatives and urge them to do something about the food safety in your state, and be more aware of what's in the food you eat every day.